That's what they are.
Oh, boy.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. Welcome, everybody, to the February Valentine's Day special meeting. What a great place to be on Valentine's Day. I have attendance. Everyone is here. Al Taylor is remote. Welcome, Al. First thing, minutes of the regular board meeting, January 10th, 2024. Corrections, additions, changes.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of regular board meeting and then January 10th.
As presented?
As to that.
Okay, fine. Is there a second? I will also accept the hand signal for an affirmative response.
I'll make a second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Was this on the minute for the January meeting?
I'm sorry, Al?
Was this for the minutes for the January meeting?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, I have an issue with one thing. I was present, not absent. But I couldn't vote. But I don't want to be recorded as not being there. I tried.
Well, you were remote. We should change it to remote.
No, because,
No,
as you know,
because at the time.
At the time, Al, actually, no, we won't. Well, that's fine, but actually, I gotta allow you to do this, so you can't talk yet either. Hold on. I got you on the agenda coming right out. Hold on. Okay, I take note of what he said. Okay, but I agree with, you can't change it. Okay. So as presented and as seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that's carried. Amend the agenda. What I'd like to do is move Parks and Rec, Vic and John Wemlinger right after public comment. I'd like to move Al's request that I have here right before those two guys, because he should be involved in Parks and Rec discussion. That's the only two things I want to change. Does anybody have anything else?
Dave, is that the request that addresses remote participation?
Yes,
I think that should go very the top of the meeting so that the crowd aware of it.
it is. It's right after this.
Yeah, oh, right after this, okay.
Right as soon as I get done, if somebody else has an agenda changes or additions or,
We wanted to add this.
oh, yeah, thank you, under old business, thank you. Oh, what do you call that? That's,
The deed.
yeah, the deed for, public property. Okay, that's it, okay. Here's a request I have. So Al's on remote. We dealt with this last month, so everyone knows, because Al is, has a medical issues and conditions, he's not able to attend the meeting. Last month, I told him he couldn't say anything, he could listen. I found out since then, I'll read this. At the last Onekama Township Board meeting on 1/10/24, I experienced being blocked from participating in the meeting, even though I'm an elected official township trustee. I currently have Parkinson's disease and suffer from mobility issues which limit my ability to participate in person with the township board. These can be overcome with the video system and allowing real-time discussions, including voting. I'm requesting reasonable accommodations be made to allow me to speak as well as vote, which would include an option to participate virtually. I spent some time looking at Michigan law and came across the following opinion from Dana Nessel, Attorney General, State of Michigan. And basically, if you get back to the back, I have these if you would like to have some for public consumption. It's my opinion, therefore, the Americans with Disability Act and Rehabilitation Act requires state and local boards and commissions to provide reasonable accommodations, which could include an option to participate virtually to qualified individuals with a disability who requested accommodation or to fully participate as a board or commission member or as a member of the general public in meetings that are required by an Opens Meeting Act to be held in a place available to the general public. Sincerely, David Nessel, Attorney General. Al is requesting that. I'm presenting that to the board, and I think it'd be appropriate to grant his request.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Support.
support. Any discussion? None being heard, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, that is carried. Okay, Al, welcome to the discussion.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And I'll put these out there, someone would like to see those.
Do we have to list it in here, including voting or just to grant the request?
No, because it's entitled to all, what she said, he's entitled to, full board, what do you call privileges, which include voting, so. Beck, you wanna go first or let John go first?
If John is on, I'd like John to go first.
Okay, so this is, deals with Parks and Rec, and this is John Wemlinger, are you there, John?
He's just got on mute himself.
You gotta unmute yourself. Hopefully,
Can you hear me?
we can. Go
Okay,
ahead, Sue. Floor is
thank
yours.
you. Thank you, Dave. I'm John Wemlinger. I'm a member of the Township Parks and Rec Committee. I'm also a trustee on the Village Council. One of the things I came to the Parks and Rec Committee during our budget discussions and asked for was a budget line for $15,000 for the township to provide money to the village in support of the Onekama Village Park Improvement Program, Phase 2. Phase 1 of that project was to construct an event stage. Phase 2 is basically to replace completely the existing picnic pavilion in the village main park. We have had a grassroots organization that has managed to raise nearly $100,000 toward the completion of these two phases. The first phase, the event stage, is likely going to come in at a price of somewhere between $60,000 and $70,000. So that's going to leave an excess balance of somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000. But to complete phase 2, the construction of the picnic pavilion, basically the complete replacement of the picnic pavilion with a facility that is of like architecture and design to the event stage, that price is going to probably come in the neighborhood of $140,000. So while we've got a head start on that, we still have some fundraising to do, and we intend to raise the vast majority of that money, as we did for phase 1, through public donations. However, I have gone as a member of the village council and asked to have $10,000 put in to a budget line in the village budget to support that park improvement program. Now, thus far in the village budget discussions that we've had to date, there is a $10,000 budget line for that to happen. And what I have told the village council that I intend to do is to come to the township and ask for a $15,000 donation, not donation, a $15,000
Contribution.
designation contribution of your funds toward that park improvement program. I think that both amounts are justified, the $10,000 and the $15,000, for a couple of reasons. First of all, we've had a tremendous response from the citizenry in raising the nearly $100,000 that we've raised to date. And I think that it's time that both the village and the township return that and show their good faith in these important improvement projects by ponying up some money. And I think for the village, 10,000 is a reasonable number. And I'm hoping that you all at the township level will think that it's a reasonable number. And then I see Jeff Dantz is there. Jeff, just be aware that if both of those governmental entities come up with money, I would like to have a conversation with you about a county contribution towards the village park improvement. Second reason I think that it's important to consider this If you take a look at some of the geofencing work that the Manistee County Visitors Bureau has done, the thing that you will find out is that Onekama is the third most visited location within Manistee County. I don't think it's any surprise that the first most visited is the casino. Second most visited is Manistee, the city of itself. And then the third most visited is Onekama. I don't have the solid data yet, but I would guess that within the village, within the Onekama Township, that the village park is probably not the single most visited location. I'm guessing that would probably come in as Langland Park. But I think that the village main park would probably come in as the second or at least the third most visited location within Onekama Township. And so for these reasons, the Township Parks and Rec Committee agreed to put a $15,000 line in their budget. As of the budget meeting that I had with the council last Monday, the $10,000 line is still in our budget. Our budget is not yet ready for presentation. We have another budget meeting to finalize what will be presented at the public hearing on the 21st of February. But I'm optimistic that that $10,000 is going to stay in there. And I would understand that your $15,000 donation would be contingent upon the village putting that amount of skin in the game before you would be expected to put skin in the game. So with that, if somebody has a question,
Yeah, John, this is Al Taylor.
yeah.
Where does this end up on the books? It's going to be a single entity that owns this, correct? It'll be the village?
It'll be the village, yes.
Okay.
And right now, the money in the village budget is consolidated in a budget line that is marked Village Park Improvement Program. The money that's currently in that budget line is the money that came from the Manistee Community Foundation Village Park Improvement Fund that the contributors in the public have made their donations toward. That fund has an agreement with the village and with the Community Foundation. And so once the Manistee County Community Foundation advisory board for that fund approves an expenditure, and then the Manistee County Community Foundation board approves the expenditure, the money is then sent to the village and it's placed in that village budget line, that account line. And Nikki Jacks would then cut the check to the various contractors that we're using to complete the project. Right now, the construction work is being done by Brett Matthew, and the materials are being provided by Cedar Forest Products. The event stage comes as a kit that Brett will assemble, and the pavilion that we're expecting to construct in replacement of the old pavilion is a similar kit from Cedar Forest Products. Those both of those kits come with excellent warranties, fully supported engineering drawings. Basically, we're ready to go for construction once we receive the kit and Brett's ready to move forward.
John, I have a question. Is the new pavilion any bigger than the old one or same size?
It's basically the same footprint. We're hoping, though, that within that pavilion, there will be better electrical so that you can plug in more than one thing that heats without blowing the circuit breaker. And potentially down the road, there's the opportunity that we can put potable water into that same pavilion. And also, Dave, in that regard, the event stage, when it's not being used for a summer concert, a high school graduation, or whatever the case may be, it is also available to be used as a picnic pavilion, of course, on a smaller scale.
Sure, okay,
John,
all right.
one of the complaints we got last summer during the concert season was what happened to the fountain? The fountain repair somewhere in phase 2?
I have a separate amount of money built into a budget line in this year's village budget
Mhm.
to repair the fountain.
Okay,
I have two numbers for you on that particular piece of it. $1,000 will probably get it repaired at the point where it's leaking. $2,500 is probably going to repair it all the way to the base of the fountain, which in the longer term of things, that's the better repair to make. I've got $2,000 in that budget line in the village council budget right now. Again, I'm optimistic it'll stay there.
okay.
John, I have a question, and you said this earlier and I didn't quite catch it. Phase 1, what's the total cost of that? And that's the band shell, correct?
Yes, I'm going to tell you that's going to come in at about $60,000 to $65,000.
Okay, and you said that, how much have you raised already then? You said 20 more than that? Like 85?
We have somewhere between $90,000 and $100,000 right now. I haven't seen it lately from the Manistee County Community Foundation, but the
Okay.
last one I saw, we were $80,000.
Okay, and then phase 2 was how much?
Phase 2 is going to be $140,000.
Okay, I have a question. What else does phase 2 include besides a pavilion that takes up the same footprint as what's there, that's made out of a little bit nicer materials?
It's newer, nicer material. It's upgraded electrical. And I believe that there's going to be some water that will be available. At this point, I'm not sure about the potability of that water.
That just seems like an extraordinarily large amount of money to replace what's there. I have a hard time fathoming that it could be that much money.
I will tell you that most of it involves the purchase of the kit.
So is it timber frame and all pre-sealed or something? Or?
Yeah, if you go to Cedar Forest, I don't have, I have a conceptual drawing of what it looks like. I don't have that available to me right now, but I can send it to Dave. He can provide it to you.
What's the name of the company? Cedar, say it again, John?
Cedar Forest Products. They're a Michigan company, and I believe they're located down in the Grand Haven area.
So John, it looks like you've got about, I'm just going around numbers, 35,000 in excess. So you've got 105,000 to go to finish phase 2. If the township were on board, contingent on this village putting in their 10, and we were to put in 15, what would happen if you can't raise those monies? Presumably it'd be sent back if that project doesn't get built.
That money will stay in the Manistee County. Public money raised would stay in the Manistee County Community Foundation until we raise a sufficient amount of money. We're optimistic we'll be able to proceed with the pavilion project in the spring of 2025, once we begin serious fundraising in the public.
Okay, so we don't pay until you know you can do the project, is that what you're saying?
At this point, for phase 2, we would not ask for your $15,000 until we were probably in the neighborhood of $110,000 to $120,000 that we have raised through public donation.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Dave, can you comment on how we can?
So I'm gonna comment because before, we've been asked this before to comment to, I'm sorry, we've been asked to participate in different projects in the village over the years, and the township has been unable to do it due to the fact that it's a different unit of government. And you can't spend, even though there are everyone pays taxes here the same. Village residents pay, same as township residents, to the township. They also pay an extra tax to the village, but it is a separate unit of government. The only way this works is after talking to MTA and talking to our attorney, in the state is there has to be a benefit given to the township residents that the village residents receive, but nobody else does in regards to what project you're participating in. Based on that, they charge rent for the pavilion. If the normal rent fee is $100, but village and or township residents get it for $50, that is a direct benefit to them, not available to the general public. And because of that, we are able to participate in that. Different than the boat ramp, because this came up before about fixing the boat ramp. Well, there is no benefit given to the village residents. It's not the same to everybody. So that was why we couldn't donate. So what was done at that time was correct. You are not allowed to because there was no benefit given. It has to be a direct benefit cash wise. So based upon that, I would say we can participate in specific projects if there is a benefit, the benefit here being the rent half as much to township residents as it is to the general public. It matches what the village residents would also do.
So, Dave, after you and I talked the other morning, I asked Ruth to send me the current information regarding rental of the picnic pavilion in the park. As that is currently written, it's the same for everybody.
Right.
And that doesn't help us with what you just said.
Yes.
No,
However,
they'll have
yeah,
to change.
exactly.
They just have to change. I already talked to Roger about that.
Great. And I don't see that as an issue. I sat on the Parks and Rec Committee for the village as well as the township. And I'm more than willing to draft up a new schedule of rates that is preferential to village and township residents, and to everybody else, they pay a higher rate. And that simply needs village council approval to pass. And I
Okay.
don't see a problem with that.
Okay. So based on that, was the board want to do? We're just making a commitment if you want to, and when they raise the rest of the money, I guess it'd be the time to. But they need to.
Is the Portage Lake Association the township or village?
Orange Lake, I don't know, that determined, Al, I can't answer that. I'm not, I'm
Well,
just dealing with the benefit part of it.
Yeah, I don't know
That's
how.
something you'd have to ask the village. I don't know.
I know when I go down and pay the village every year, it's $30 a night for any pavilion that we use. But I don't know if we get it set up to where the village has one rate and the township has another. I don't know how we're gonna manage that for civic organizations, because they're the ones that generally rent pavilions.
Yeah, but that's not our deal. That's the village's deal. We're not gonna get involved with what they charge. You're asking the wrong board that question.
We wouldn't own any part of the park.
We don't own any
All
part
we're
of the
doing is
park.
contributing.
All we're doing is contributing towards improving it. So, does anybody want to make them or do anything? I'm just.
Do you need a motion?
Please.
I'll make a motion that the township include $15,000 in its fiscal year 25 budget to go towards phase 2 of the Onekama Village Park Pavilion project, contingent upon the village also paying $10,000 and contingent upon the township residents getting the same reservation fee as village residents. And that sum of money not to be paid until the appropriate funds have been raised, so we know the project is going to happen.
I'll second that.
Okay.
And the reason I'm supporting that is that pavilion is in terrible disrepair. It gets used all the time, particularly for class reunions, graduation parties. Lots of township residents use it. I think it's an asset that's long overdue, and it's a community asset, and I think it's a good use of the money.
Then I will tell you, John didn't say, but I would think the village park is used more than Langland because it's used year round for numerous things all season. And Langland is, it's used a lot in the summer for 3 months. But I think it's probably the most,
Contingent on the residents getting a
The
break.
same rate as. the
Same rate as-
resident.
same benefit, whatever you want to call
What about out of township and out of village organizations? Can they rent the pavilions?
Yeah, I would think so.
I don't see why not.
Well, by definition, they have to be able to rent it, because if they can't, then they can't pay a higher rate. Right? I mean, that's the whole reason we can fund this.
Exactly. Al, I don't know how it, I don't know.
Hey, John, can I stop you for a minute? Instead of answering Al's question, I have a motion in a second, so.
Sorry, yeah.
I know, that's fine. All in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed,
I think you need a roll
roll call? Well, we might do it. We're just putting in our budget,
It's just a budget item.
just a budget item, so. Al, you voted yes, correct? Okay, thank you. Now, John, go ahead.
I don't know how I don't know, does the PLA rent?
Oh, here, I don't want to even get into that today. I got so much in my meeting. I'll be here for 2
Yeah,
hours.
okay, good. That's something
that's a-
that's something that
I'll talk
that
to
I'll
you
work out
about
through the Parks and Rec Committee.
That's a you
I'll follow
problem.
up with you. Then I'll follow up again. We'll have a discussion.
Okay, thank you. Vic, you're up.
Second item, after that is a discussion about, the wetlands and the potential project with Grand Traverse Regional Land Conservancy. We've entered some discussions with them about, the potential of, preserving that park forever, including boardwalks and that sort of thing. It would be obviously a very expensive and multi-year project. GTRLC has indicated that they would like to move forward with those discussions, and they have assigned a specific person that takes the lead on that. They've asked the board to assign a lead on our side, recognizing that that lead has no authority to commit the board. All decisions are made by the board in a public format, but between those meetings, there'll be a lot of discussion. So certainly we've got Al and Ed on the board that are former members of GTRLC, but this from time to time is going to take a lot of work, and it's likely to go on for a lot of years. I'd like to recommend that Dr. Brian Allen be named as that representative. He is on Parks and Rec. He's also a former board member of GTRLC. He's indicated that he would be willing to take on that responsibility. GTRLC uses Brian whenever they have a donor that needs to be introduced to what they do, so he's in good standing. So I believe he'd be a good representative. The way we would structure it is currently we have a subcommittee within Parks and Rec. I'm the chair of that subcommittee. He would be the lead with them, and Al is also on that subcommittee, as is Michelle. So my recommendation is to nominate him, and if you agree, I'll pen a letter from Dave to them, naming him.
I'm fine with that.
Brian Allen was the founder, or one of the original people involved with the Point Betsy DeSable Conservancy. And I got involved with that after I moved back to the area, and we ended up merging with the Grand Traverse Regional Land Conservancy 30 years ago. And
Anybody
Brian,
there?
we're both on the board at that time, and Brian's a stand-up
Hello?
guy, doing a great job. Can you hear us, Al?
I can now. You cut out for quite a while.
I think it might be on your end, but anyway, I support.
You
Brian.
support that? Bob, you okay?
Yes, I am.
Someone make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion, none being heard. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Beck.
Third item is just want to confirm that on the 21st budget meeting that Parks and Rec can attend via the OWL. And I don't have a time for that.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. And then the final thing is a discussion about the MCCF grant for Langland. I submitted a piece of paper that shows all the numbers. I'm afraid reading all the numbers would just confuse everybody, but essentially we got an estimate from Spicer for just over $10,000 to do two things: to do a topographic study of the parking lot out there where we have a significant runoff issue, and to come up with some engineering plans to mitigate that. The MCCF gave us a 90% grant to make that happen. Since that time, the topo work was done. It actually came in for significantly less than they had anticipated. It came in at $2,160. But we didn't move forward with the engineering study, and as you all know, we didn't move forward with that. So right now, we have a few things that we need to decide. One, are we gonna authorize that engineering study and go forward with this grant? Or are we just gonna cancel the grant? We've spent the money, the 2160 on the topos, we have those. And we've also had discussions about getting, the DNR gentleman out to the lake, and Dave's asked me to actually put that together. So up to you guys on how you want to move forward with it. Cancel the grant or go ahead with the engineering or some other alternative.
I don't think unless you can get a lengthy extension from the community foundation, that we're gonna have a solution time frame to get that done. I mean, what's been talked about as a solution, I don't think is a good solution. So unless Spicer's able to come up with something that's better, I don't know why we pay them, and I don't think they can come up with the proper solution until we can figure out, can we just maintain the structure and move the sand? Cause that's part of the problem. If we can drain it properly, then it won't be an issue. And I mean, as much I'd like to keep the grant money, I think the community foundation would appreciate the fact that we're giving it back and they can fund something else. And if we were to do that, we might come back with a caveat that we need to get a few other things figured out before we can get the final solution. We might be coming back, but at this point, I don't see how we get that done.
No, I think no, it's not gonna work unless you push the sand down. Right now, we can't do that. We already know that. But maybe that guy will change. If we get him out here and he sees what we're up against, he might come up with a.
I'll take the lead on making that happen, and we'll just push back on.
So maybe we just wait and they formally let the community foundation know until we've scheduled that meeting with the DEQ or whoever.
But just, we're not gonna, to me, we don't continue right now, right? We're not gonna have an engineering study done. No, it's a waste of money. I agree. Okay. Okay, good. Thank you very much. Clerks, I'm sorry, public comment. Like we get that. Anybody? Going, gone. Revenue expense report, trial balance. Shelley?
I don't have any question.
I don't.
Shelley can't talk much. She's being very quiet. She shouldn't even be here today. She had some surgery done, but thank you.
We have early voting starting and
Oh, here, I can say that. So early voting starts this next week
yes,
in Manistee Township. If you didn't get your notification in the mail, there's 455 of them here that were returned. Just come in and look. If you have a PO box, you probably didn't get one. If it was a PO box. The company that got hired to do the addressing of the postcards, put the physical address on instead of the PO box mail address, and they all came back. So we're working on it, but it is next, starting early voting is at Manistee Township, not here. Also, everyone's aware, the county clerk is resigning effective March 8th. Thank you. Miss Johnson, our clerk, has applied for the position. So there you go. Ed, do you have anything? Oh, anything else? That's it, Shelley, correct? For you? Okay. Ed?
I don't really have anything. My information was in the packet. Today is the due date for winter taxes. They've been coming in fast and furious. You can pay your winter taxes here up until the end of February, at which point I turn them over to the county treasurer and we can no longer accept payment for the summer or winter taxes for 2023. And that's, if you're no ahead, we'll talk more during the budget process.
We'll talk more in the budget process. Okay, thank you very much. Jeffrey,
Okay,
welcome.
howdy. We met on the 16th of January. We did not have, applicants for a tax allocation board. I'm here to tell you that we do have a applicant now, Joe Zupaki from, the township. He's applied and we will appoint him on Tuesday. It's the only appointee that, seeking that position, so. That board will be doing their thing, because last time we did a 2-year allocation for the millage for the local units, so not anticipating any changes from where we
And
are.
I see, your supervisor got the position from first supervisor.
Well, that's up to the townships.
Well, they put,
Last time it was Phil Badbucker. So Denny got it.
well, they wanted us to all vote, his name was on the ballot, so I voted, and I called him, he was down in Florida, and I said, hey, I just want to know I supported you, and he goes, for what? So he didn't even know he was on the list.
Well. All right, regional summit tentative date is 9/19, location to be determined as of yet. We did a standard protocol for dial ride resolution, of intent for what they do. So we did that was resolution 2024-3. Sheriff Department was finally able to get hold of 3 new, vehicles for their operation, and as, the sheriff, happened, that was kind of like a Christmas miracle. They had been up against it and trying to get vehicles, and we're going through Enterprise right now. That system has been working out well, but you can imagine if Enterprise is having a hard time getting vehicles, you can imagine how hard it is for a standalone operation to get them, but, that's moving forward. Katie Mell has been made our new, remonumentation administrator, formal things, and she's the new, head of planning. Material management plan, I think I probably mentioned this previous month, but we're all under the it's a 180-day gun right now to try to get a plan put together for the state for recycling. So that, we'll be working, I believe, with, adjacent counties and or Northwest Networks Northwest to try to get something in place within that 180-day time frame. Just a point of note, Senator Bumstead was for the entire meeting, for our meeting, which, I mean, that's not something you see every day, and I appreciate the efforts. Also, Commissioner Botzer brought up the point for a letter of support for the US 31 corridor for trails, because they're gonna be looking at redoing the US 31 corridor through the city of Manistee, part of Byler Township and out into Manistee Township. So trying to get everybody on the same page with that, in the engineering part of it, to where the trails, depending on how it lays out, could be at least one bike path through there and or walking. Also, we did receive a new airboat a couple of weeks ago, for the sheriff's department. That was a federally funded, grant. Took care of that. It's pretty impressive.
Airboat like in hover boat?
No, an airboat like you would see, down in the Everglades.
Oh, okay.
650 horse, I believe.
With a big fan on it?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But now we gotta find a building on the sheriff's department. We're gonna have to do something to get it, something to tall enough garage door for it to go into. So at any rate, at the meantime, we've got it, in a safe spot.
Okay.
So it's out of the weather. Little bit of background on the airport. We've had our 4th best of January on record, which is still good. The essential air service is good. We're going out for contracts again now. That contract will be up. It's up this year and will be renewed with with whoever it's awarded to, starting effective October 1. So we're trying to figure out a way how we can get at minimum 8,000 enplanements. 8,000 actually technically is 16, and then also to 10,000, which technically is 20,000. So figure both ways. And the humongous change in the reimbursement we get from FAA in regard to that, if we get to those numbers. Cape Air has been doing a pretty good job as of late. Been pretty reliable, depending on weather, obviously. Those planes don't like, plus or minus the 32-degree mark, because, the ice and those, type of planes just don't work out real well. So we're trying to get a carrier that may have some, different.
You anticipate other
opportunities.
carriers bidding them?
Yes, and we will be soliciting on top of what the Department of Transportation actually sends out. We're actually trying to be a little more proactive right now. So we
So
put together a couple of pages.
It could,
Put
it's
that-
not gonna be jet service, so it's still gonna be.
No.
Oh,
Let's hope.
oh, okay.
We'll see where it all goes. I think that's, well, 911, the 800 megahertz radios are in line to be, set up, I guess, or programmed. It might be a possible way to look at that, Rob. And then the other question, I guess, and I talked to you about that prior to David, and that is, cost recovery ordinance, that's not ready to be done today. Did I hear that right? Okay. And that's strictly just for insurance, the ability to bill insurance, on those activities.
If you wait a second, I'll have Rob give his report. I'll just let,
Okay,
anybody?
any questions?
Questions on audience? No? Anybody? Jim, real quick, you want to do your report now or you want to stay?
Mine isn't very long. I just,
Go ahead.
I, got a conversation going
I'm sorry, Harbor Commission. Jim's from the Harbor Commission. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jim.
with Doug's boss,
Okay.
and maybe we'll get something done at the ramp this year.
Oh, really? Okay.
They're gonna take soundings as soon as possible. And maybe put in for, she said that they could get a permit so they could dredge out there this year if need be.
Really? Okay. Well,
And
that's
they
good.
will clean the ramp off. And I'm chatting with her about paving.
Okay. How's that going? Yeah.
Well, I told her what I thought it would cost, and she says, I agree with you, but when you have to put engineers on it and design.
That doubles everything and all it is paying. I know it doesn't make sense, but
Yeah.
okay, we'll continue working on that, would you
Yeah.
please? That's it?
That's it.
Very good. Rob, I'll skip to you just because I think, you want to give your report for fire and,
Yep, I submitted the reports to you guys,
yeah,
okay, so I won't go through all that, just notes on there, January was extremely busy, we were almost 42 calls for the month of January.
what a normal be?
28, 30. Somewhere in there, 28, 30, 32 on a busy, but,
Okay,
so, yeah, 42 is probably one of the highest, numbers we've seen in maybe history, but, the only a couple other actual items that, I think out of the report that needs to be done is we did have one member resign. And I'd like to submit his letter, to the board. The fire board has voted to accept it. So we asked that the township board accept it as well.
okay,
So that was, January 24th, I think he gave that to us.
okay.
He's gonna pursue different things, nothing against us, very positive, but.
Would you we should send him a thank you letter or something from the board?
We're gonna accept the resignation.
I'm sorry, yes. I'm sorry, do that first, I guess. It is addressed to Onekama Township Fire, to whom it may concern, please accept this as my formal notice of my resignation from the position of firefighter in Onekama Township Fire Department effective 2 weeks from today, making my last day of employment January 21st, 24. After careful consideration, I made the decision to resign. I'm leaving in order to pursue another career opportunity that will help me in my personal and professional growth. Working for the Onekama Township Fire Department has been a wonderful experience and afforded me many valuable opportunities to learn and grow. I'm very grateful to have been part of this organization. I will do all in my power to minimize any inconvenience caused to anyone at Onekama Township Fire Department by my resignation. I will put forth every effort to facilitate a smooth transition during my remaining 2 weeks. I wish you and the Onekama Fire Department continued growth and success in the future. Sincerely, Matthew Hertz.
I'll make a motion, we accept that.
Second by anybody? Second by Shelley. Discussion, none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? That's
Sending some kind of a acknowledgement letter.
What do we, don't we normally send, okay,
Yeah, that's the first one that I've had.
do we do it or does, the fire department do it? Rob, could you?
Yep, I got it.
Sorry, this, now we need to recruit more people.
Yeah, now we're down to 10.
Now we're down to 10, now there's 10 left.
Yeah. very active, so we're thankful for that, so. The other one evidently that's coming up in question is the ordinance request.
Cost recovery.
Yeah, cost
And
recovery.
it's at the attorney, and the attorney's reviewing it. He didn't get a chance. He wanted to make some tweaks to it. He thought there was something that, I don't know, just did. He said, could he have another month? I said, yeah, it's fine, so.
Okay.
So are we gonna have a separate work session on that or a full-blown discussion? I have lots of questions about it.
You can do whatever you want, either whatever you'd like to do.
Okay, well, I think we need to discuss it. There's issues potentially, so I just wanna make sure I understand before we vote on ordinance.
That's fine.
Mhm.
I agree with that. Yes, sir.
Can I make a comment on that proposed ordinance?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
You didn't make it under public, but that's fine.
Well,
Go ahead. No, it's fine.
it's fine.
It's fine, man.
I realize that's a draft ordinance, but it did have some language in it that under certain circumstances, the owner would be billed directly. And I'm not asking for answers to.
No, and why don't we do this? Let the attorney, I think some of that, because this was a kind of drawn off somebody else's
Yeah.
ordinance, and that's what he's looking at. And I don't know what part of this he's gonna kick out, and that might be one part of it, so.
Well, just another point I'll raise is, I think most, if you have this coverage under homeowners, it's typically sublimited to about $500.
Correct.
Which wouldn't go that far toward, cost recovery in a lot of situations. So I just don't know if that's connected to billing owners directly. It raises concerns with there potentially be tax liens put on people's properties. Again, not looking for answers to.
No, I get it. I get that. That's probably some of that stuff, same questions everybody has, so that's fine. I think we all have those questions, like, so. Okay,
Yep, that's all. Yep, and we would have a third party that did that work for us. We would submit from our reports to them. They would go out and request money from the insurance companies. So.
we're speaking of accents and, not accents,
And again, this is only
Fire,
fire,
but not
not
EMT.
not EMS stuff.
EMS, it's not.
EMS would not be included in that ordinance whatsoever. Just fire activities.
Okay. Anything else for your report? No?
Nope.
Good, thank you. I mean, not good, but that's, thank you. We'll go back to new business, MRA, Eric,
Eric Hummel,
how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Thanks for having me here.
Alice, how are you?
And I just want to report the Manistee Recreation Association, we've been around since 1942. I myself have only been there for 8 months. I just started in the position, finishing up a career of teaching and coaching last at Manistee High School, but I'm excited to be there. And we've got a list of programs that we provide to the community, mostly youth events. You can see there's a list of things. We've got T-ball, right now basketball is going on. We have over 240 youngsters from all the way from Bear Lake down to Scottville that are participating in games that we have going on. There's the soccer, which registrations just started. We had over 100 people registered as of yesterday for soccer. So there's quite a need for these youth sports to go on. T-ball, swim classes, tennis camp. We had a disc golf clinic. One of my favorites we've added for the entire community, we had added an adult kickball league this past fall. We're looking to expand on that in the coming year. We had participants range in age from 18 to over 70 in that adult kickball league. It was a lot of fun for the spectators to watch as well. So lots of events that we have going on, and it's the Manistee Recreation Association. We don't have any facilities at Manistee Recreation Association, so we're relying on community involvement. If you go to the next slide, we have different areas that we've utilized, including the area school districts have graciously allowed us to use their gymnasiums for practice. I know there's a few teams that are practicing right here in Onekama High School, the youth basketball teams, and throughout the county. And Aquatic Center and a few other organizations that we've been involved with. But we're mostly reliant on over 100 volunteers that we have to coach and organize these events. And if you go to the next slide, we give the Charles Shadle Award each year in memory of a former MRA director, one of my predecessors. And this past year, Dana Dobus, the swim instructor, was given an award along with North Lake Mechanicals, the business award. John and Ashley Simpson have been very active in their few years here in Manistee County in helping out with the Manistee Recreation Association. And then we are relying on sponsors, since we're a nonprofit. You can see many of our sponsors from the past year get their name on their back, the t-shirts, or the Little League uniforms. We're reliant on them for our support. And in addition to our sponsors, we are reliant on appropriations from different community governmental units, and that's where you guys come in. You can see our, we relied on the city of Manistee and various townships, and you can see Onekama on there. You guys have been a constant sponsor. We want to thank you for your sponsorship and your support by Onekama Township supporting the Manistee Recreation Association. The kids from your area that can participate at a reduced rate. For instance, soccer registrations that are going on right now, it's $72 per student in the townships that do not participate, but for Onekama Township residents, it's only $30 to participate, to play for the entire season. That includes their uniform that they get throughout the year. So we are thankful for your support. And while I'm here, just wanted to hold up this basketball right here. With your support money, we've got a few new basketballs this year, and for every township that supported us, put your name on here, and I want you guys, members of the board, to sign it right there, and that'll be in the kids' hands. That money you guys send us goes directly into the kids' hands. The ball's in your court for supporting us. If you want to support, say,
You sign it?
you can sign it on there.
I don't think that's-
Sign, you can just initial if you want to, go ahead. So in addition to that, in addition to that money, we provide scholarships for needy participants. If your average household rate is under a certain level, you can apply for a scholarship.
Is that, I gotta correct, is that number up? Because before there wasn't, we noticed there wasn't that many scholarships given. I think that's the number is higher now. That's great.
I think we're just publicizing it more
Okay.
anyway, and people are becoming aware of it.
Okay,
I am I think the fourth director in 4 years for the MRA. I don't intend to go anywhere. I'm loving my new
Okay.
job and planning on sticking around, but I think just publicizing that, yes, if you
will help,
have,
sure.
have need. Now, I am here to ask that you'd once again re-up your support. We have a formula based on how many kids you have participating in your township for the past year, and then we divide that by the total number of kids that participate and into our entire budget. And it comes out, it's about $120 per sport. If we asked every family to just, pay the amount it would cost, but we'd like to keep that down. Like I said, only $30 for soccer right now. And last year, got my numbers here somewhere, I believe you had 51 kids participate in our various programs. And we divide that into participation. Sadly, your numbers are down a little bit this year. But because of that, last year you generously supported us with $4,100. We're asking for a lower amount. $3,060 would be our ask for the upcoming fiscal year, support the Manistee Recreation Association. Yeah, 51 activities,
Including the village.
participants.
What's that, Al?
Last year, didn't we discuss and add the village, the village kids that wanted to go into the program? We opened it up.
Yes.
Township.
Picked up the village.
Yeah, but you have the village, you have all Onekama Township residents.
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
It's
he already
the
has
entire-
it, has it in there.
Includes them both.
Includes the village.
Mhm.
Did you bring a contract? for that?
I did,
Okay.
and I'd be glad to leave that here with you.
And a pen.
Or I can stick around. It's a copy of what I sent you earlier on there. So it doesn't need to be today. Everybody's got a different fiscal year,
I know.
What was it, $3,060?
$3,060.
I'll make a motion that we approve the MRA contract.
MRA contract for $3,060, Bob.
Let's make it even.
No, we're just.
And so, yeah, we're looking for adding more programs in the coming year, and always open for suggestions and always looking for volunteers. I used to work with the new superintendent here at Onekama Public Schools. Dan Mesher was a colleague of mine when we both taught at Ludington Public Schools. We've already had a conversation about returning and having MRA soccer games somewhere on the school property again, because I know when my kids were little, we used to come up and play games here all the time, and everything's been in Manistee recently, and we'd like to spread it out so that not everybody's having to drive all the time.
Good.
So, that's one thing we're looking forward to in the next year, so.
So I have one question.
Yes.
Bob made a motion, but no one seconded it, just so you know. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand.
I didn't either.
Okay. Second by Shelley. Okay, now discussion, go ahead.
So we paid like 4,100 last year.
Yeah, that's correct.
3060, is that based on the prior year's participation?
Yes, it is.
So I guess there's an incentive for you guys to really market that and make sure you keep your numbers up. And is that how that formula is designed? Because that's like a 25% cut. I mean, we were happy to support it at 4,000.
We have 25% less kids participating.
Well, last year, but I mean, so you get, you just to look back and that's just how you do it every year?
Yeah.
My first time making a budget, to be honest with you, but that's how we've done it every
They've always
year.
done an adjustment.
Okay.
Our total number of participants did go up over the
It just
past
go
year,
down here.
but so did our budget. It was just the proportion
I
wise.
just
So
was
we are asking a few other townships to greatly increase their,
We're running out of kids here.
What's that?
We're running out of kids here.
That's,
gonna vote on it?
No, well, discussion, Bob, it's called discussion.
sadly,
That's
I
why they
can't.
call it discussion.
Discuss.
Okay, all those in favor, oh, no, we're spending money. Bob?
Yeah.
Ed?
Yeah.
Shelley? Yes. Al?
Yes.
Okay, David, yes. There you go.
So I'd like to thank you once again for your support and, send as many kids as you possibly can to participate.
70-year-old.
What's that?
Well, that's the adult kickball league, sign up this summer.
Eric, what date
Yeah,
should this run?
pickleball sort out on your property.
What date? It says.
Say that
effective.
again, Al?
Well, that's depending on
Getting
your,
a community pickleball court out there.
from the beginning to the end of your fiscal year, and I can,
Okay, I got, it. No, we'll figure that out.
I can stick around after the.
No, we're good. We know when our fiscal year, that's why I'm just gonna ask if that sounds good.
So Eric, I'd be careful about who you give that basketball to use, because he signed it Bob Brick, and it will not go through the hoops.
Bob the Brick, did he? Wow,
Bad, Bob.
thank you.
I had nothing to do with that. It came from down the table someplace.
I didn't hear a response to the pickleball.
Yeah.
So to ask it louder, you have to speak up, Al. I think you're a little far away from your microphone is the problem.
I'm only 2 foot away from it.
Okay, well, you're fine now, so,
What was your question?
The question is, could there be a community pickleball court out there?
Well, we don't have any facilities. I mean, we're reliant on the community facilities, so, that's really not, something in my wheelhouse, I guess. So we've been asked about, organizing pickleball leagues, but I know Pleasanton Township's got one, and there's a few other organizations that, do. Or not Pleasanton, up in Arcadia.
Arcadia
Pleasant
does.
Valley. What's that? Yeah, okay, Cindy could give us.
yeah, they
some,
know, they play up there, yeah.
All right, yeah, I don't know, some of those pickleball guys are pretty cutthroat that I've had to deal with. It's,
Oh, really?
I would be shocked. Okay, we're moving on. Manistee County Housing North, thank you, Eric.
thank you.
Well, what's in there from you?
They have they're asking if you'd be willing to donate any money towards supporting the Manistee County Housing North program, Housing Ready program.
I don't think, yeah, maybe. What? Do you?
Well, they've got a contract where they would provide services. The question, I think, would be, what exactly are they gonna be doing? A lot of their effort is focused in the city and Philo Township where they've got utilities. You know, I think out here where you've got some utilities in the village, the township really doesn't. I'm not sure how effective that would be, but I mean, there's a huge lack of housing in the county right now. I mean, tremendous, especially for people that are just getting started, you know, making 35 to 65,000. They can't find places to live because they can't afford to buy, they can't afford,
No, there's no place to build.
certainly, and
You
there's
can't
not that
buy.
many rentals that are in decent shape, so that's part of what this is trying to address. I know the county, is that still here? No, I know the county supports it, and I know the city of Manistee supports it, and they have, Tracy Davis is the Housing North Coordinator, and she's working on certain things. They helped to get a chill grant, for use in the city, but I'm not sure exactly what they would do in the township, so I have a hard time supporting this without them coming and making a pitch.
We could tell them to come make a pitch. If we're gonna do something like that, we don't even have anything in the zoning right now that allows you to cluster all these houses. If you wanted to do some low income housing, we wouldn't even allow it.
Yeah, and this isn't,
Not necessarily low income, but
right,
I'm
it's
just saying,
it's affordable housing is kind of what their goal is.
I know,
so,
but that's,
yeah.
okay.
And I don't know, they just sent this in, right, Shelley? You
Yeah.
just got this in the mail.
Yeah, she just put it on.
I think if the board is interested in, exploring this, Tracy Davis needs to come here or Yarrow, who's the executive director, and make the pitch.
Correct. Okay,
Yeah,
We get a hold
we're
of
just
it.
present a contract.
okay. Unfinished business, ORV ordinance. Tom isn't done. He called me today and between everything's happening, it will be ready for March. The cost recovery ordinance he's going through will be ready for March meeting. And maybe I have sent a draft out before the March meeting and then we get it to everybody. And then if we do want to schedule a meeting before our regular meeting, we can do that. I think that's probably something we should look at. Property update. Oh, it's still in probate. So what happened there was we made that offer. They accepted the offer. I called the title company to close. No one had ever transferred since there was a death. The property had never been cleared out of probate and there was still it was still in Joe partners and Joe is dead. And it was still, they couldn't do anything. Long story short, it's still there. They haven't resolved the issue with the title yet. All we're waiting for is that. And we can have a closing. So that's where that is. DeVoe went down to court last week. Had a court date to go over this thing. We went back and forth. I think we are at now an agreement and just Tom is gonna present it. Think back, we have another thing with the judge next Friday. Then we'll move forward with set dates. Items that have to be done, moved, put up. If not, we get the right to go in and basically remove or move the stuff items. That's where that's at. And the date I used was July 1st to have everything done by. I still think that's a valid date, so. Oh man, the next one, this shouldn't take long. Proposed draft budget.
It was in the packet.
Okay,
So, Dave, if you don't mind,
we can, let's go ahead.
what's that?
Go ahead, what?
No, I think it'd be useful to run through just some of the highlights of the
I
numbers that
agree,
are in
I
there.
agree because there's, yes.
So I don't know if you want me to go ahead and do that.
Go ahead.
And jump in, because everybody has had input into this draft and, the idea here, introducing the budget to the public and anybody who's watching or watches the recording is so that they can know what's in there, what's being proposed, what's being talked about before we have the public hearing in a week, so that they can digest that and then have additional input. And then, the board can take that input, make adjustments or corrections, and then, hopefully adopt the budget, at a regular meeting in March. So it's in place for April 1, because that's when our fiscal year starts. So a couple of things, property values in the township, which is the primary source of our revenue through property taxes, the rate of inflation was 5% this year. So, your taxable value will go up 5%. It's actually 5.1%. However, because of the number of sales, and in comparison to new construction, we're probably going to have a heavily rollback, which will roll back our millage rate a little bit. And so we won't gain a full 5%, probably. We haven't gotten the numbers from the assessors yet, but
Correct.
that's likely to happen. Last year, inflation was 9.7%, and we had huge growth in property values, but we did not have a heavily rollback last year. So that's gonna be a little bit different for this year. So, the general fund, the revenues are down a little bit, but that's primarily from two things. One is, we didn't get we closed out the kayak grant, so there's no revenue for that. And we didn't sell one of the parcels of property that we were thinking of, so those two things is $145,000, and that's offset by increases in tax revenue and what have you. So really no significant changes there from an operational standpoint. Some of the highlights in the general fund budget, just for points of interest are, well, let me go to the bottom of this for a second. You can see, The bottom line here is the proposed draft budget, shows a use of fund reserves of about 280,000. So I want to talk to that. It's okay to use fund reserves if you're funding projects. That's the idea of having them. But there's a number of things here. One of the big initiatives is our accounting software. So we use BSNA accounting software. The product is 15 years old from when they first rolled it out. It's used throughout the county and frankly throughout the state. Assessors are required to use that software. They have moved their product to the cloud, so it's and totally rewritten it. So it's basically like new software, that's has a lot more functionality. And so we got a proposal from them to implement that, and that cost is $28,440. And then on an annual basis, you'll have maintenance fees similar to what we have now. They're a little bit higher. The issue is we don't need to do that right now, but that price is only gonna go up, and they're not putting any more development resources into the current .NET format of their product. We have 7 or 8 modules that we use of it. So that's one item that's in the budget, that's different from previous years. We have,
And the yearly fee was how much, and I don't remember now.
I have to pull that out.
Yeah, but it's not cheap either, so there's quite a bit of.
Yeah,
money.
it's a little more than double what we're paying now, but it's all hosted in the cloud, so you don't have to have a server down the road, depending on what we do to run that. So that's a useful thing. And it's got redundant data centers, so it's got a lot of uptime. Keep going here.
You guys drop out?
No, we're just.
No, we're just trying to hit some highlights.
And everyone's aware, this is on the website,
Yeah.
so you don't think you're not, you can just go to the website and look all this up, you don't have to try to scan through it.
There are some proposed capital outlays for the city or for the township hall. One is to replace the camera system. One is to replace those main doors with one single 44-inch handicap accessible door with a push button so that it can open. Because right now that's hard for people with wheelchairs to get into the building. And then there's a line item to kind of update behind the township hall here where the recycling containers used to be, with getting rid of some of the gravel where we don't need it, maybe some topsoil, a little bit of landscaping. So that's built into the budget. We've got a little bit more money budgeted for work up in the cemetery for grounds and headstone improvement and tree removal. That's a annual maintenance that we do, but there's quite a bit of it that we need to do. There is some money slated for a cemetery mapping program, which we don't have right now, and something that we need to look into to meet our obligations to manage the cemetery. One of the things that the board's gonna be discussing, there hasn't been a decision made yet, is whether or not we're going to hire a part-time maintenance person to take care of a lot of different maintenance issues. We've been contracting most of those services out, with varying degrees of success. So that's something that we'll be talking through, next week to figure out how we wanna do that, and what that might look like. But we do have money slated for that, but we also have money in this draft budget to do a contract. So one of those will drop out, so that budget amount will go down, but we wanted to have it in there both ways so it could be seen. The Parks and Recreation Department has some items in here as well. They'll be talking about that to the board next week. But there's some money in here for some environmental work on the potential wetlands product. There's some money for some marketing through social media possibly, or maybe getting a little bit of work to help promote digitally some of the stuff that we're doing. There's possibly some money to hire a grant writer. The board hasn't discussed that yet, but that was in their request. And then there's also some money to fund a feasibility study for a trail system. So those are requests from the Parks Commission. Has not been discussed with them yet. That'll happen at the next meeting. We've got, again, for repairs and maintenance, there's a cost with employee or without employee. So without an employee, then you have higher contractual costs. And then finally, for capital outlay, There's about 15,000 that we just approved, potentially for the village pavilion. And there's an additional 9,400 that was approved last year that will go bleed into the next fiscal year for the beach walkway at Langland Park. So that's some of the highlights of the the budget for the general fund. The other funds that we have are, the road fund. The road fund is funded by a millage and interest income, basically. It's about $205,000 a year that we get in revenue. And there's a couple projects, potentially more that are slated. We don't have the final cost yet because they haven't gotten them. But there is the paving of 11 Mile Road, and then there's also finally paving our half of Millark Road that didn't get done. And people might have questions why half of Millark Road isn't done. Well, Millark Road is under the jurisdiction of 4 townships: Onekama, Bear Lake, Manistee, and Brown. Manistee and Brown Township are the southern part of that, and they got together and with the road commission and paved it. We've been ready to repave that for years, but Bear Lake Township is not, and I think Bear Lake finally decided to.
Really decided finally, it's gonna cost more now.
Yeah,
Compared, because the machine was here and everything, but they allocated the money to do it. And we own the first mile, Brown, Manistee Township, I think it's 2 miles or 2.5, and that part's been done. When we're speaking about right over here off 8 Mile, just.
it's in really bad shape, so we'll fund a quarter of that. Bear Lake Township will fund a quarter of that, and the county will fund half of it. So, but we don't have the cost back on that. There is a little bit of money slated in here for some regraveling. We included some money, which we haven't done in the past. It's gonna be a discussion item to have a third-party engineer kind of look over the road commission's shoulder. I think that's important, helps protect the township's interest, but we have to have a discussion on that. We put it in the budget last year, but we didn't really get any paving projects done. The next
paving, we should say those paving projects are carried over to this year
Yeah.
though, so the money, even though we collect 200,000 roughly a year, we have a fund balance that we've been saving for to spend to do these other roads, so we're not asking for more money. I want that to come across, so we're not, okay.
Fire
Fire
fund, again, funded by property taxes. We also get some money from Brown Township, 9,000 a year for, providing services to Brown Township. And we have, penciled in an application to the local revenue sharing board for a grant to possibly help fund, some improvements to our dry hydrant, which is a way to suck water out of the lake. If we don't get that, we probably look at it and fund it ourselves, but it's something that would make, I think, a good application. In the operational budget, it funds things like replacement masks and hoses and wages for the things and our utilities and a lot of maintenance on the apparatuses. There's quite a bit of capital outlay proposed in the budget. We've got $50,000, which is going to be the rescue truck final payment, which we approved in this year's budget, but it won't happen until this year, paid part of that. We're gonna have to make the payment for the fire pumper chassis in probably January of 2025, which is $400,000. That was approved earlier this year. And we have the 20,000 slated for the dry hydrant improvement, and hopefully we can offset that with a grant. And then there's a little bit of money for some equipment on our new rescue boat that we got last year to help make that a more effective piece of equipment for the fire department. In terms of the other fund that we have, it's the Lake Improvement Fund. That's a special assessment that the township levies for invasive species. And that's about $74,000 a year in special assessment. And that goes to basically pay for the remediation and the treatment of the lake, analysis, study treatment of the lake for the aquatic invasive species. It doesn't treat terrestrial stuff. It's just stuff that's in the water. And we look at that every year. We have a consultant, and there is actually an invasive species subcommittee that helps to guide that process and make recommendations to the township.
If you notice on your bill, that rate changes yearly, but based upon treatment levels and what needs to be done, and so it fluctuates, so it is a different figure every year. We're trying not to collect more than we spend. And I think we had a pretty successful doing less last year, and I think it'll be about the same this year, I think. So we'll go back to the fire department just for a minute, so everyone knows, because we're talking about cost recovery and why we're looking at things like that. The new rescue rig total cost is roughly
95,000.
95,000, just for the rescue truck. Total cost close now for the new pumper,
860.
860,000. So we're not asking for more money from the millage, but those are the expenses that are, that's how far stuff has changed in the last 20 years. Or 32 years.
Yeah.
It's horrendous, so,
Keeps getting more expensive to run it, that's for sure.
yes, but I want people aware, because I don't, we're close to $1 million for a truck now. I mean, it's just boggles the mind.
The other item, Dave, I forgot to mention, is in the general fund, we've got money slated for the property purchase, because that didn't happen in the last fiscal year. There's also some money slotted to do some basic improvements over there. We're gonna have to do a comprehensive site plan to see exactly what we wanna put over there. There's been lots of talk about a building, there's been talk about pickleball courts, obviously it wants to host the recycling, so those numbers are in there as well as a placeholder for that piece of property. So that's part of the reason that there's a drawdown on the fund reserves, is there are some capital purchases that's kind of driving. Anybody have
Any questions? Anybody? Like I said, all this is on the website. You can digest it or print it out and look at all this. I mean, there's figures everywhere. So anybody who has questions, or you want to call, I'll be glad to answer what I can, or Ed or anybody, or come to the budget meeting and hearing. Or call before if you have actually something you'd like to have addressed. No problem. So,
And just so, again, the public hearing next week on the 21st is at 5 o'clock, not 4 o'clock, just so people don't trouble.
okay.
It's on the 21st, right?
Yeah,
Correct, Al. 5 o'clock on the 21st.
I've heard 2 dates.
No, it's 21st.
Yeah, I've only heard one.
Okay. Where the heck are we on here? Assessor? Okay, so, Ed spoke about the 5% multiplier. That's the maximum by proposal A that the taxable value of your house, property, whatever, can be raised per year. 5% or the rate of inflation, and the rate of inflation was 5.1 or 5.01, so the state went with 5. That was all part of proposal A. Assessment notices went out, I think are being mailed out today or tomorrow. So by Monday, everyone should be just smiling. It will be a glorious day. When they get the notices, I mean, it's 10% in 2 years, but it is part of proposal A. And if you look at your assessed value without proposal A, that's what you would have been paying on if we wouldn't have had proposal A. So I think that's it for assessor's report. Roads, Bob? Other than, we talked about what projects we got going. These are all the letters from Wickedy. So I don't know if we want to have
We're gonna put all that together and see pros and cons.
by my count, there was 13 letters in opposition and 3 in support and 2 neutral.
correct,
But there's a lot of different ideas in those letters though too, so.
correct. I think we need to have, we could talk about that in the, it'd be a heck of a meeting and talk about the cost recovery thing all at once. Might as well. I mean, how many did you say? 13 were opposed?
That was my count,
Yeah, I think you're right.
something like that.
13, or
That's the
maybe
majority of the people that,
don't want anything.
Well, it's not that they don't. want
No,
it.
that's not true. Yes. So let's put that on and do the same thing. We can have one heck of a meeting. Okay, it's fine with me.
For March or what?
Yeah, I think so, because we can still.
You know what, I don't wanna do the cost recovery ordinance. Well, the ORV ordinance is easy, the Wickedy Wall and the budget and the public hearing all on.
No.
So we can do some of that, I mean, you wanna move these for the March meeting, right, not the work session on the 21st.
there's no hurry with the Wickedy Wall.
No, because if it's gravel, we can work that in. They can do that. That's fine. We just need to make sure that, just put it on the March agenda, except for the cost recovery. That's gonna have to be a separate thing. Never
Is that
did.
gonna be a public hearing, excuse me?
Which one?
The cost recovery, for that or no?
Public hearing?
Or is there just gonna be, is there
A public meeting?
meet?
Yeah, public
Yeah.
meeting,
Yeah.
yes, like a special meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Open to the public.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Well, we did Parks and Rec, didn't we already? Already that far? Planning Commission. And report,
Not till April, probably.
okay. Board review. Got nothing. That's in March, it'll be in the notices. It's March 5th, I think, is the organizational meeting, in the week of the 12th, 11th through the 16th. I can't remember the exact dates. If you would like to appeal, it should be on the notice. So I know it's on the notice. Evasive.
Yep, the 2023 lake report is essentially done. It's just going through minor revisions and corrections. So we'll have the report for last year, including the treatment areas, the treatment locations, et cetera, et cetera. And it sets the basis for moving forward on 2024. And we hope to have a preliminary plan at that point in time by 2024 March. It won't be the complete plan because we wouldn't have done the vegetation study yet, but the intention is to continue to use lower eradication rates and see if we can work out a system for rapid response to stop the invasives from coming in or milfoil issue. We had a snafu come up. I don't know if it's a snafu. I don't know how many of you know about it, but there are a group of neighbors that are working on the lake shore in front of their houses, and they've launched a higher treatment company to come in and treat the cattails and that, and then also work on muck reduction because they are having trouble getting their boats in and out of their yards and their house, yards and homes. And we don't really have a policy that would prevent that from happening. But we ought to have some discussion about how we want to go about this. David, I don't know who the gentleman was that owned property that was on our treatment permits 2 years ago. You remember that? That they just pegged up our permit. They paid their way, but they went off the master permit for the lake. This is also in what we might consider to be a high spawning area. So there's some discomfort in figuring out how we move forward, but I think the township board needs to be involved in some of the discussion.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And just one more thing, this is the last year of PLM's contract. So I'll go through this year, and we're looking for, I've already talked with PLM about getting a request for quote out for treatment and for the plant and for the lake management. Although I fully anticipate we're gonna do our best to maintain breed. I think it can be opened up to various companies for treatment. And we'll see how that enters into year 6 of the program.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're up again. PLA's next.
We're moving forward with everything. We're trying to get organized. Got a couple of empty spots we're trying to get filled. But things are looking pretty good. We're trying to figure out who we are, by the way.
Who are you? What do you mean?
The PLA paying me.
Okay, identify yourself. You mean where you're headed? Is that what you mean?
Where we're headed or where we, I don't know who's steering us. You know, I gotta ask the question, what does the PLA represent and how does it manage it? And I had a hard time answering that question directly. We got thereabouts and roundabouts about it, but some of the direct stuff was a little tough, so we're gonna go through some thought processes there. But we've got an enthusiastic group and they're ready to move, so we've already started spending money.
Okay. Thank you very much.
David,
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
this contract was in the packet, but it didn't like make it as an actual agenda item. Can we consider it or we need to wait until the next meeting?
Oh,
So when we did the website, the initial purchase of that had maintenance in it and then they have recurring maintenance. They tried to bill us a whole bunch more money than was appropriate. It took me several months because they have a lot of
Yeah, we
growth.
did that.
But that's the right amount now.
That's the right amount.
That's-
We've talked about before. It was in the meeting packet, right?
Yeah, so I
So I think you can present it.
I mean, they're gonna continue to bill us on this, but this just reconfirms that this is the right amount and it needs a signature, so. I'd like to have this in writing with them because it took a long time to get it out of them and it's correct now, so.
Well, it was like $8,000 before.
Well, that was the original, but they had like a $4,800 contract, which wasn't right. The dollar amounts are wrong.
Are you making that motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we just basically, sign this to memorialize what the rate is with them.
Is there a second by Bob? Okay. Any discussion? No, that's for Civic Plus, correct?
Yeah, that's the website company.
Yeah. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Al?
I said aye.
Okay, thank you. Opposed? None, that is carried. Okay, I have deed on here, which is, I'm just doing this for public comment. The public, let me see, the privately owned road end out by Bayview, next to this house that these people owned, what was open to the public. And we said, they signed it over, they actually did a warranty deed, signed it all over to us, and we now own that piece. This is the same piece as we've been talking about for months anyway, so we agreed with them. I think I brought up to the board a couple months ago that $500. And they said they'd be happy to redo it for the $500. They've already done the deed, so we already had the property, we haven't paid for it. So, if someone make that motion to pay, it goes to 3 people, or the check goes to Jerry, Jane, and Darlene. So the check has to be made to all 3 of them. Because they're all 3 owners of this. I would appreciate someone making a motion.
Or would you pay it a third? Is that whose name the title's in?
Yes, the warranty deed was signed by all 3 of
Do they
them.
have an account that that has?
I have no idea how you do
They're not
that.
gonna be able to cash that check unless they just all sign it, cash it, and then hand each other cash. We're not gonna have an account in that name, but whatever, I guess we can deal with that.
You have to write 3 picks.
You could.
They own an undivided 1/3. So that's
Better do
different
that.
than a divided
Better
third.
do that.
That's a totally different way you call that. Undivided means
So I
undivided.
guess if they can't cash it, they'll come back to us.
Correct. If they come back, we'll just take cash out of it.
So, David, I just wanna point out, we talked a lot about this a couple months or several months ago, and, we're still gonna send a letter out to some of the property owners, just letting them know what's going on. We just haven't gotten there yet, but I think, I mean, it's open to the public. It's a really weird situation that the state, kind of, when they sold that property, all of those, the waterfront to the riparian owners, they maintain those road ends. So they're open to the public, but privately owned. And we just need to make sure that all those property owners understand that, because I think there's some,
And we've dealt with this for months, but
yeah.
Jenny's been dealing, well, the old previous assessor going back years.
Yeah.
And it is public, privately owned, public access property. And they don't have, there's nobody else in Manistee County
Figure that one.
has it.
It's very clear in the chain of title, though. We did the title work
We
on
did
it.
the title work, spent
And
that
I'm
money.
still waiting to get a proposal from Spicer to remark the one road end at Midway.
Correct.
And so I bumped them again to get that, but that'll be in the next.
So in this particular case now, I don't think we have those public access markers on this, because it was privately owned, even though it was open to the public, it wasn't.
Where was it?
I don't think those posters were ever put up on this one.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
Where was it, Dave?
this is
These are on Bayview,
Yeah, where about?
between
Bates
the big
Moore.
corner, between Midway where it makes the real sharp corner, and then going to the north about halfway to
Like, you
where,
know where Crow Check says?
Oh, yeah.
It's that one
Yeah.
right there,
Yep.
Bates Moore,
Mhm.
and it's split between both sides, so it's
Oh, okay.
There's two public, and then the other one is the next street to the north.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's three road ends that are
Okay.
like that.
you're gonna make the motion to make the check out to all three. I don't know what else to do. It's $500. Second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, Al?
I,
Opposed? None? Carried. Okay, I'm gonna give you that back. Then we have public comment before we get to correspondence, so. Anybody?
I'll just make a quick comment on the off-road vehicle ordinance.
Yes.
I'd like to suggest that there be some language added to that, that the roads are open for purposeful travel or something to that effect. That's, I mean.
I know what you mean, but how are you gonna do, what's purposeful? I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, that's the
It
problem.
allows me to tell the kid or their parent that's like going back and forth in front of my house
So,
to stop it. I mean, that's what we did when we were kids, so I don't want to be subject to that now.
I don't know what we.
I don't know how you do that, right?
You just put it in there.
I know, but what's purposeful?
I don't know.
Well, no, that's what I mean, but you have to have a definition, right?
No.
Okay. I would disagree, but that's fine. We'll take another consideration.
No, no.
Ask them what's purposeful.
Well, you don't want, it's just to try a way to, so it doesn't become like a nuisance.
I will,
So the reality is, this was a huge, and I wasn't on the board when they passed this ordinance, but there was a ton of discussion about it. People were all up in arms. We're gonna have stuff running everywhere, and it's been an absolute, pretty much non-issue. So Bob said he thought the little limited restrictions that were in there, that didn't make sense, because people are violating that right now, right, with their golf carts and all that sort of stuff. So
There's no way to enforce it.
well, is it bad? I don't know.
No,
Oh, okay.
I don't, there's not an issue there.
Okay. I mean, I've never had one complaint since this thing passed well, I shouldn't say, no, I did that. Someone go in someone's yard and turned around and they ripped the grass up. But that was, that was a
Right.
stupidity thing. Okay.
Just one other comment, just a question first. Did the township support or donate to the band shell?
No,
Okay. But I think, you're very right about that MTA and what you can and can't contribute to. I think there's another element to that where the township needs to have some aspect of control over the project, so.
but just from the standpoint, just the benefit. I made sure, because I called everyone, had the attorney do, I went back and forth, because we couldn't have done the band shell because there was no benefit to township residents specific to them by donating to the band
Yeah.
shell.
Yeah.
Now this, there is, and the,
Okay, well, that's all it takes.
the launch, you can't, unless now here, if they charged a fee to launch boats and you were a township resident or village resident, and they gave you a break and it was half off, or whatever it is,
Mhm.
we could donate to improve that, but they don't charge
Yeah,
anything.
no.
It's-
because you pay state, local and federal taxes, to the.
Oh, yeah,
They spend some of that, when they spend some of that on the, boat ramps and stuff, they can't treat somebody outside the township different than somebody that's in the village.
yeah. So, but that has nothing to do with us, they didn't ask us to donate that. Okay, anyone else for public comment, or move to correspondence? No, gone. I got a letter from 5 Cap. The purpose of Walk for Warmth is twofold. It's Saturday, February 17th. Attached is a Walk for Warmth pledge sheet.
We can't.
We can't donate anyways, can we? Okay, I don't think so. Then we got a letter from the United States Bankruptcy Court, Southern District of New York. All holders of claims and voting classes for, I think this is opioids. I don't know how it would possibly involve the township.
they don't get any money.
No.
The county got money.
Did they? Well, they have county specific services, right? I mean, we don't ever offered any, Rob didn't offer no opioid thing, did you?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, I imagine we're not included in the class action lawsuit, then, okay. Bills,
Make a motion, we pay the bills.
support, any discussion? None, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Al?
Aye.
Okay. No, opposed? Motion passed, okay, adjourned.
I like that word.
I knew you would.
Yeah. I know.